makers. Today I'm going to be making some projects with these fabrics. So this is the Expedition, Bouquet, Cigar Box, and Melange fabrics from the Embark release from Tim Holtz and Free Spirit Fabrics. And on one of my projects that I've been working on with these fabrics, I was going to use some little rolled rosettes on it, and it just didn't work. So I set that aside, but I really want to use them on something. So I'm going to use them on a couple of different projects that I'm going to show you. And so that's why I have a variety here. So these rosettes are the ones that I made from the cigar box. And you can see how when you have, just patterns with so many different colors, how it really makes for some colorful rosettes. They're flat, and so I'll show you how I made them. And so you can put these on quite a few things. These are the ones I made from the Melange fabric, and it starts with strips of fabric like this. Many of my projects begin with strips of fabric like this, funny enough. But that's how I like to use fabric. So these are the ones from that. And then I thought it might be fun to do a couple with the bouquet. And then this I'm not going to make rosettes out of. I'm actually going to use this for some leaves. So let's go ahead and get started. I may use parts of the bouquet for leaves as well. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you not only how to make these, but also how to make the leaves. And I'm going to be adhering some things together. So I have my hot glue gun out and it is warm. I also have my iron out because I'm going to be making a couple of little jewelry pieces. And so I'm going to back it with felt. And the easiest way for me, it seems, to attach felt and make sure that it stays nice and solid on there is to use some of the Wonder Under or the fusible iron-on fusible web as an adhesive. And so I'm going to be attaching this to some felt, and then we'll attach the felt to a couple of these rosettes and see if we can just make a really quick little jewelry piece. All right. The little brooch that I want to make from the bouquet fabric, I'm going to tear, and I'm going to start on this side where I cut out a little bit for the leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and just tear the rest of this off. So I'm going to make a snip. Then I'm going to grab it and I'm just going to rip. All the way down. And that's probably going to be enough for me. Now I need to make it into strips to roll. So if I want this one to be fluffy, I'm going to go about 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to cut this in half. Tear it all the way down. You need your hot glue gun for this. And I don't particularly like having all the little strings. So I go through, pull all the little strings off. It doesn't take much to get them. Just usually run your hand down it like that. And then I always warn people, if you have animals or I guess small children too, that you want to just be sure that you just ball this up and that you throw it away so that it doesn't, cats and dogs don't swallow it. It can cause a problem in their intestines. And then you're going to start with the center and you're going to roll it in on itself. And then add a little bit of glue. Be careful of your fingers. And then you just keep kind of twisting and rolling. And then you're going to add a little glue. You want it to be on the inside. You really don't want it to show, but we're going to make this one a fluffy one. So you don't want to twist it too tight. The other ones I was putting on something that was flat, and so I twisted them fairly tight. But this one, we want it poofy. So add a little glue, and you can see the bigger I get, the more I start adding it to the back side, and then just push it down into it, and then keep twisting and going around. Okay, keep twisting, going around and tacking it. So cute. And you can make these as big or as little as you want. Should we make this one like a big one? Real statement piece. I need to adhere fusible web to this felt. So I pulled a piece of the, I think it's 9 by 12, yes, 12 by 9 fusible web sheets. So I pulled one out, but I really don't need that much for this project because it's just a really quick little, you know, jewelry kind of project. So I'm going to put this under my guide on my rotary trimmer and see if I can do that. So this is the shiny, so I'm trying to keep it away from my iron. And this is the 12, so I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to hold this down, and then I want to be sure that you understand with this trimmer that you're trimming and making sure that the blade is going against the metal that is here. So there's a metal piece that runs all along here. You are not pushing down, okay? So that's not going to cut it. You need to just make sure that the blade is in contact with the metal edge when you cut. Otherwise, if you're pushing down and cutting, see if I can show you the difference. So you can see where it tore a little bit because all I was doing was pushing down. And so it was just at that very beginning, it's a little bit rough because it doesn't have anything to cut against. It's not cutting against a mat down here like most rotary cutters that we're used to. And so it's actually going to tear your paper if you just push down like this and go straight up like we do with most of the rotary cutters that have a mat underneath. That's why it has these places for your fingers to hold so that you can just push, do it here. And it really takes very little strength at all to cut, even with chipboard and things like that. So I've had a couple of people that were a little confused about cutting paper with this, and they were saying it was tearing, and that's because you're pushing down instead of cutting against the metal blade or the metal edge. Okay, I hope that makes sense and hope that clears anything up. Anyway, all that to say that I was cutting this in half because I don't need to use all of it. Now let's look at, I will move this, and let's look at this fusible web. So the stuff from Wonder Under that's in this package is kind of a shiny, this is very smooth side. And then this side, you can actually, can you see the webbing on there? And it's rough. So I am going to put over here a little towel real quick. This is a very old hand towel, so it's perfect for crafting. I'm going to lay this on my felt. And then I have my iron is hot and it is set to cotton, no steam. I'm going to go over that, make sure that it gets melted down into the felt. Okay, and as I'm doing that, you can see that it's not coming up. If it comes up easily, it means that it didn't melt, so it didn't adhere. It has to get hot before the fusible web will melt and adhere onto the surface of whatever fabric. And that feels actually pretty good. Then you're going to want to let it cool. It's feeling pretty cool now to the touch, so I'm going to be able to peel this off. And I have cut a couple of pieces from Bouquet and Expedition. So I cut a portion of the bouquet that had the leaves, so it's fairly green. And then I cut the ocean portion, which is kind of a bluish green for leaves. And I'm going to be adhering them to the felt here. Now, I'm not just going to peel it off and then adhere this, because what's going to happen is, and sometimes you have to kind of pick at it to get it to start peeling, but as I peel it off, this one is fairly shiny and kind of tacky to the touch. A lot of times it just feels rough, but in order to get it to stick to the back of this fabric, I'm going to have to iron it again. And if you look, you can see when I put this on there that I have a few gaps where it's shiny. And you can see that some of that fusible web will actually remelt, and it's going to melt onto the back of this, so it's going to fuse this fabric to the felt, but it will also fuse to the iron and get sticky all over the iron if I just do this. So I usually save the paper when I'm doing this, and I'm going to iron this way. We'll heat it up, and that way I'm not getting any sticky as it remelts. Okay, let's check. Okay, so you can see these are stuck. They are adhered to the felt now. So I'm going to go in and just cut the felt away. And you'll notice I didn't do anything to the felt at the top, because that's for something else. Okay. Over. So what I'm making are I'm going to cut some leaves out. Now you can do a couple of different things with this. You can draw leaves on the back, or you can just freehand them, which is probably what I'm going to do here. So I kind of see this leaf here, and I actually could just kind of go in and actually, okay. And that's a little bright for these, so I may save that for one of the others. the truth. And then you could even ink that if you wanted. And it just makes a little rosette with some leaves. As many leaves as you want. I think that's super fun. And it looks good on that one too. And I'm going to just roughly kind of cut so that it is inside the edges. And it's on the back. Nobody's going to see it. If you have a die cut this size, you can use the die cut. But you just need something that's about that size. And if you want to go through and try and kind of round it out a little bit, you can. It's not really going to matter. No one's going to see it but you. So make sure that you like it and that you do what matters to you. And to me, it doesn't really matter if it's perfect. So this is my front. I'm going to peel the paper off. Put it on the back. Okay, and it's stuck nicely to that. And then, let's see, do I want to age the edges a little? See if it works. And I personally like the edges to be a little bit frayed. And so when you put this on there, sometimes it makes it a little difficult to fray, but I'm kind of looking and it's going to fray those nicely. So let me grab my walnut stain because I do want them to kind of be a little, just a little aged, just tiny bit. Okay. And then you can use your finger, or if you have a tool or the edge of your scissors or something, and just, yes. If you still have one of these, usually this works pretty well. Yeah. See how that... There we go. Oh yeah, that's what we're looking for. There you go, just like that. And then I have my hot glue gun at the ready. So I'm going to add just a touch of hot glue here and attach that one there. And then a little bit across there. Push it down. It's felt all the way on the back. Brooch pins. So let's see, this is the way that it's going to go. So if I want my brooch to go like that, I'm going to adhere this here. So I'm going to take my hot glue. Okay. And there you have a little brooch. So this one's huge, but I think it's super fun. And I took a couple of the leaves. I know I was going to use this one, but it just kind of blends in so well. So I took a few of the leaves from the expedition and I went over them with some forest moss and walnut stain. And I think that it matches really well. So I'm So we have 3 different styles from our rosettes. This one's a little smaller, kind of almost medium, and then we have the big giant one. So that's how you make the little rosettes and leaves if you want to have just a fun piece of jewelry that you can put on a scarf or a hat, or, you know, just, you know, your shirt or something like that, just for a fun little bit of fabric. I wanted to give you an idea for kind of mounting these on something other than a card, so that you could give them to friends or guests or something like that. Say you're having maybe a fun afternoon tea where everybody's dressing up. Maybe you want to give them each a corsage that they can take home. So you might make a big floral one like this, or maybe it's something that goes with a themed party that you're having, and, you know, everyone can wear these, or it's just a little take home, you know, party favor, something like that. I pulled out my distress tags, and this set of tags has 18 tags in it, number 2, number 5, and number 8. I grabbed 2 number 5s and 1 number 8 in the craft stock. They also come in the mixed media. So I pulled those out. I'm going to just distress these just with spritzing some distress stain on them. And I might actually do a little stamping. I'm not sure quite yet, but just something very, very fast on the back of these. And then we will cut slits in them, and we'll attach these to it. But I'm not quite done because it's fabric, and most likely you're going to have scraps left over. So I'm going to put the scraps to use for this little gift idea, and we'll pull it all together as soon as I get these distressed and stamped. All right. All right, I grabbed my Hickory Smoke archival ink, and then I grabbed 2 stamps that I have. That this one, the Ledger script, gets a lot of use. But, you know, we don't use this one as much as we should. This is a really good one, newsprint and type. So I feel like I'm going to use the Ledger and script on the floral one, and I think I'm going to use the newsprint and type on the 2 for the others, just because it doesn't get a lot of airtime. And so I just really feel like it should get a little spotlight. All right, so let's start with our Ledger script, and I'm going to do the small fine one, because remember, I don't want it to fight with all of this pattern. So I'm just going to ink it up a little bit. So just lay it on here, ink it up a little bit. I am not doing actual stamping, so I'm just going to hold it between my hands, and I'm just going to add a little here and there. That's it. Okay, don't want any more. Well, maybe a little right there. Okay, that's it. I'm calling it. Put it back on here. Where'd my inky binky go? Wipe that off. We're good. All right, now let's try this one. So I'm going to use the newsprint. I'm curious what I used it for. I don't remember the last time I've used this one. Okay. Kind of exciting to get something out you haven't used in a while, right? Whoops. And the same thing. We're going to just, in a couple of places. That's it. I like it. I'm going to have to get this one out more often. Look at that. Nice. Okay. Well, there you have it. 3 floral brooches that could also be a floral corsage for an afternoon tea or something like that. Very quick, very easy little gifts that you can give to your guests or to a friend or someone hosting a party or something like that. So I hope you enjoyed this really easy tutorial, fun tutorial using your scraps and strips of the Embark fabric from Tim Holtz and Free Spirit Fabrics. If you have any questions about this tutorial at all, please contact me either in the comments below or on my blog at playswellwithpaper.blogspot.com. I am happy to try and answer them to the best of my ability, and I hope that you have a very creative day.